I got kicked off my own family's land in 12 minutes. One calm woman in a blazer, one clipboard, one perfectly rehearsed phone call to 911. And suddenly, I was standing on the edge of a gravel road staring at the ranch my grandmother had owned for 60 years like I was some kind of criminal. And the part that still messes with me, for a few hours that day, I almost believed her. The drive out there should have felt peaceful. 3 hours outside Austin, my old 2015 Honda Civic humming the same tired rhythm it always did. The sky was clear wide, that pale Texas blue that makes you feel like you can finally breathe. I had my coffee in the cup holder still warm and a manila folder on the passenger seat with my name on it. Probate complete. 4 months of paperwork, signatures, waiting, second-guessing, and grief, finally done. I wasn't coming back to throw a party. I wasn't rich. I didn't have big plans. I just wanted my grandmother's land back. The ranch had been in our family longer than I'd been alive, longer than my parents had been married. 60 years of dirt roads, stubborn fences, and one woman who refused to let anyone tell her what to do with her land. Dorothy Brooks, my grandma. She used to joke that she'd die before she joined an HOA. I thought it was just her being dramatic. Turns out she was dead serious. The last time I'd made that drive was for her funeral. I remember staring out the same windshield, trying not to cry, wondering if I'd ever come back for anything other than memories. Now I was returning as the owner. Same land, same gate, same history. At least, that's what I thought. When I turned the final bend in the road, my stomach dropped so hard I actually hit the brakes. The old wooden gate was gone. In its place stood a bright white sign mounted on brand new posts, the kind you see in cookie-cutter subdivisions outside cities. Big black letters screamed authority. Meadow View, Estates, HOA, Private Community, no trespassing. I sat there for a second, engine running, heart pounding, rereading it like it might rearrange itself into something that made sense. It didn't. The fence posts along the drive had been repainted white, covering wood that had weathered to a soft gray over decades. A security camera was bolted near the gate, its black lens already angled toward my car like it had been waiting for me. Everything about it felt invasive, wrong, like someone had slapped a suburban mask over land that had never asked for one. I hadn't even put the car in park when she appeared. She came out of the farmhouse with purpose, walking fast, confident like she owned the place. Blonde hair styled into a stiff, perfect helmet, navy blazer, beige slacks, clipboard tucked against her chest like a badge. It was over 90 degrees, and she looked like she'd just stepped out of a board meeting. "I'm Karen Whitfield," she said before I could even open my door. Her voice was crisp, controlled, practiced. "President of the Meadow View Estates Homeowners Association. This is private community property, and you'll need to leave immediately." I remember blinking at her, just blinking, trying to process what she'd said. "I think there's been some kind of mistake," I said, finally climbing out of my car. My voice sounded calm, but my hands weren't. "This ranch has been in my family since the early 60s. My grandmother never mentioned an HOA. Her smile didn't disappear. It sharpened. "Your grandmother failed to pay community assessment fees for 3 consecutive years, she said, flipping her clipboard like she was checking grocery prices. Under state law, the HOA exercised its right to recover unpaid dues through a tax sale. This property was legally sold last month." She handed me a thick manila folder. Inside were documents that looked disturbingly official. Embossed seals, notary stamps, legal language laid out in clean professional formatting. Titles like tax sale certificate and transfer of ownership jumped off the page. For a split second my brain stalled. "That can't be right," I said. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I just stated it like a fact. "This land is zoned agricultural. It predates any development by decades. You can't retroactively apply HOA rules to farmland." Her expression cooled instantly. "Sir," she said, the word clipped, "I understand this is difficult news, but your grandmother's financial situation is not my responsibility. These documents are filed with the county clerk. The sale was conducted legally." "They're fake," I said, stepping closer. "I have the will, probate paperwork, deeds. This is my inheritance." I gestured toward my car where my real documents sat on the passenger seat. Karen didn't argue. She pulled out her phone. "If you don't leave immediately," she said calmly, I'll call the police. I opened my mouth to respond. She didn't wait. She tapped the screen and hit speaker. 911, what's your emergency? This is Karen Whitfield at Meadowview Estates, she said, voice instantly shifting into concerned citizen mode. There's a trespasser on legally sold private property refusing to leave. Ma'am, there's been a mistake, I tried to say. She talked right over me. He's becoming aggressive and won't listen to reason. I have all the legal documentation proving the sale. I stood there stunned, listening to my own life get reframed in real time. Officers are on the way, the dispatcher said. Karen lowered the phone and smiled. That smile told me everything. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't paperwork gone wrong. This was a trap. And I'd walked straight into it. 12 minutes later, gravel crunched behind me as a county sheriff's SUV pulled up. The deputy stepped out slow. Professional, tired in that way, only comes from answering the same kind of calls for years. Karen moved first. Folder open, clipboard ready. Officer, she said, this gentleman is refusing to leave private property after being shown legal documentation. The deputy took her papers first. I watched his eyebrows lift slightly as he flipped through them. They looked good. Too good. Clean. Organized. Designed to impress. Then he took mine. I could see confusion cross his face. Sir, he said after a long pause, these folks appear to have documentation. This is something you'll need to resolve through civil court. I can't risk a criminal trespass situation here. Which meant one thing, leave or get arrested. Standing in the driveway where my grandmother had taught me to ride a bike, I felt something crack inside me. I'll leave for now, I said quietly. But this isn't over. Karen's smile widened just a little. I drove 20 miles before I had to pull over. I sat at a gas station, hands shaking so badly I dropped my phone twice before I managed to dial Rebecca Stone. Rebecca was the lawyer who'd handled my grandmother's estate. Small-town attorney, sharp mind, zero tolerance for nonsense. When I laid Karen's documents on her desk, she didn't say a word for a long time. Then she sighed. These are professionally formatted, she said, tapping a page. And completely wrong. Wrong seals, wrong legal language. Missing filings, no registered HOA, no authority, nothing. By nightfall, her office had turned into a war room. Deed records back to 1962, tax receipts showing everything paid on time. County maps proving the ranch sat well outside any HOA boundary. Meadowview Estates, HOA didn't exist. But Karen wasn't done. That night a video popped up in a local community group. 30 seconds long, cropped, edited. My voice raised, stripped of context. Captioned, "Disturbed man threatens peaceful neighborhood." It spread fast. Clients stopped replying to emails. One dropped me outright, said they couldn't risk association with instability. Then came the demolition notice. Emergency order. Unsafe structures. Barn and grain silo scheduled for teardown in 48 hours. That was the moment I broke. I sat alone in a cheap motel room staring at the ceiling, wondering if fighting was worth it. Wondering if grief had clouded my judgment. Wondering if my grandmother had hidden debts I never knew about. Karen even sent a settlement offer. Cash. Quiet. Go away. For a moment, I considered it. Then Mrs. Dorothy Williams called. She'd lived next door for 40 years. She had boxes, letters, maps, proof. Correspondence showing my grandmother refusing HOAs in writing again and again. That night I stopped feeling lost. I felt angry. The bulldozer arrived at 7 the next morning. I parked my Civic behind the barn. Karen showed up with a news crew, a sheriff, the same clipboard. She talked about safety, community, responsibility. Rebecca arrived 10 minutes later with a court order. Everything stopped. From there the truth unraveled fast. Fake documents traced back to Karen's laptop, templates, metadata, gambling debts north of $180,000. Witnesses paid $50 to sign statements they didn't understand. Karen tried to run. Didn't make it far. When she stood in court and finally admitted everything, there was no shouting, no victory speech, just silence. She lost her freedom. I got my land back. And here's the lesson, plain and simple. Authority isn't a clipboard and a confident voice, it's the truth, and the truth always catches up.